chance he does, right?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what the calculation would even kind of look like, but it's basically like it's not just about just bare probability. It's indexed to a very particular type of possibility, plus a very particular trigger function of a harm-inducing act, and being uncertain about that act itself. So there is probability invoked there, but it's not. It doesn't have to be probable. It can be, quite frankly, it can be very improbable.
All the way down the ice, James. The ability to get away from the pack, look over his shoulder, know where everyone is, and then that clean finish. Unbelievable goal.
The Icebreakers take a 1-0 lead here in the late goings of period number 1. This is a huge goal momentum-wise, isn't it?
Well, yeah, James, if you score a goal at the beginning of the period or at the end, it really sets the tone and temperature for your team. And it also puts your opponent back on their heels, and that's exactly what you wanted to happen. But now that the game is wide open, you're heading into intermission. So that's going to give both teams an opportunity to reset. You got to find a way.
A chance on the rush here. Sends it across. Oh, it's stopped. Oh, my goodness, what a save. Tries to make that cross-ice feed. They've got some momentum here. Here's a chance. Scores! I got 2 words for you. New game.
Yeah, certainly.
It's like you're saying something like that it is the case that we can actually sort of make normative evaluations about the possibility of states of affairs insofar as those possibilities are going to be like these specific type of instantiations where like an actual harm is being and accordingly, the sort of possibilities which are going to be tied to that instance of harm is what sort of gives us these norms that we should like sort of follow in the case of abortion. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, what if somebody were to just say that that is just not the case, that there is a harm just being instantiated in the first place?
So the argument starts off with just saying P1 is just that the pro-life theory is a live epistemic possibility, and then P2 says that if the theory is true, then abortion constitutes a catastrophic moral wrong, because the pro-life theory has the entailment that the entity is a intrinsically dignified entity whom which you're owed, or whom which they're owed particular protections or due goods, and so it would necessarily mean that they're being harmed. If the pro-life theory is true, that seems kind of obvious.
Right, but couldn't they also just then view to the equal possibility of pro-life being false?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's P3 is like if PLT is false, then prohibiting abortion poses very serious but non-catastrophic, non-catastrophic moral costs or moral harms.
So then it seems as if the point of tension might be as to whether or not the consequences of pro-life being false outweigh the consequences of pro-life being true, because it seems like it's implicit in the argument.
I said someone would try to say that, yeah, that they either want to say that if PLT is true, abortion isn't a catastrophic moral wrong, which that would probably be a bad way to go, because I think that's very obviously true.
I'm not saying that they would just make the claim that like it's an entailment from, which always being the case that abortion is not catastrophically wrong. It wouldn't just be like the mere entailment there, but it would just be more about whether or not, how do I phrase this? Like, because it seems implicit in the argument that the harm and the consequences that will occur in a world where abortion is legal, are like outweighing the consequences that occur in a world where abortion is illegal, right? And so, what if one were to just deny this implicit notion that, the consequences are greater, as in, the additional sort of propositions like, on the condition that it's a person, on the condition that it's being harmed, on the condition that it's murder. What if they just say that they're going to reject not the conditional sentence, but just the implicit notion that's kind of baked into concepts we're trying to play.
They're inserting their view.
So you're saying, like, what? Okay, so are you asking if someone if someone were to deny that the consequences of rejecting pro-life is greater?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, I guess you could do that. I don't know if that would make much sense to do that, because, you basically kind of be saying that they're morally comparable in intentionally killing, a billion babies versus having a right restriction. See how that's going to be true. Plus, there's a bunch of other wrongs that would ensue if pro-life is true. Like one being that you basically constructed a government, and the government is designed. It should be designed to protect people. You basically created a government with a unified mission, or at least a structured mission, to deceive women into murdering their babies. That seems really bad. And then you created massive economic structures and businesses and things like that off of murdering children, which is also really bad. So, I think that seems blatantly false to say that a rights restriction unnecessarily is equivalent to mass genocide. I think that's kind of crazy.
Right, but from my perspective, I'm looking at it as if that the person who's opposing to this argument doesn't share those teammates, right? So for them, in their sort of conceptual world, language like, G-side, babies, and schmurder, and all these kinds of things just simply won't exist, literally in their head, right? For them, those things just don't even apply in the case of the fetus. So then I'm thinking that in order to even motivate them to care about, restricted abortion access on the basis of this possibility, in order for them to be even motivated to that, they would have to first be motivated towards this idea that the consequences that will ensue in a pro-choice world are far greater than the ones which would ensue in a pro-life world. And in order for them to be convinced of that, they would have to be at the very least convinced that that language is even applicable in the first place, right? Language such as G-side and whatnot. And so even if they don't explicitly deny the conditional, and I think it was the second premise, even if they don't explicitly deny the conditional, they could deny the implicit commitments or sort of language that the argument is utilizing in order to demonstrate conclusion, right?
You agree that if the pro-life theory is true, that all that language, even a reasonable pro-choicer would agree that all that language would be accurate, though, right? If POT is true in the way that I've outlined it, it's really no different than just going around slaughtering babies or something.
Right. I mean, of course, yeah, it would be accurate, relative to, a sort of pro-life type conceptual scheme. But of course, accuracy itself is something which is, there's not really any clear notion of what accuracy. Because if you think about accuracy in terms of a correspondence relation, then you have to ask yourself, corresponding to what, right? Is it corresponding to some fact about the world? Is it corresponding to some conceptual system, or is it what is it corresponding to, right? If that's on the condition that you think about accuracy in terms of this type of correspondence thing. But you could also think about it in terms of success and fail conditions or whatever, right? But anyway, but yeah, for that person, I'm trying to, I guess, how do we motivate them to believe that, like, just on the basis of possibility, because for the average person, I'm thinking that they're not going to care about that type of possibility, right? In the same way that they might not care about, I don't know, like some random possibility, like, I don't know, it's like possible, right? You know, for the average person.
Well, maybe it depends on a variety of factors. Some in which I don't have any control over, which one would be like how reasonable this person is, but you know, if you're asking for like ways in which I would kind of get them to maybe agree to seeing it from this kind of more objective lens, then maybe being so like, being so dogmatic in their idea that, any violation or rather any restriction conceivable on bodily autonomy is like equivalent of like, you just murdering them or something. Would be through like paradigm cases or something, which I am happy to provide. But in terms of showing that there's like a categorical distinction between saying you're not allowed to do something, and by virtue of that, you like ensue certain personal discomforts or like lifestyle restrictions temporarily, and then in the vast majority of cases, they're not life-threatening or life-altering, compared to you being the reason that you murdered someone. Like, I guess I've done cases absent.
Is bad faith. Obviously, being killed is worse than having limitation or freedom restricted temporarily.
And having a
Anybody?
What? He's naturally
Minimum height.
5'7" and up. I'm not
Wait, how tall are you?
like 5'5" and a
5'7" minimum.
yeah.
Can they be obese?
Heart wants what it wants. No, that's what it wants. Okay. If I'm treated right.
So you're dating this individual.
If I'm treated right, yep.
Minimum income.
Well, with the age I'm at, there's not really a limit right now. But basic.
They have faster reaction.
What happens if you play Madden for 1 year? Month 1, you boot up Madden thinking football knowledge transfers to controller knowledge. It does not. You snap the ball, panic, and throw a pick six to a linebacker standing completely still. You blame the game and immediately restart. Month 3, you learn what cover 2 means, but only because your opponent destroys you with it 40 times in a row. You discover a money play on YouTube and run it exclusively, like a man with 1 weapon and 0 shame. Month 5, you buy a custom controller because you think hardware equals skill. You join an online game and get scored on before you finish reading the kickoff controls. Someone sends you a voice message that is just laughing. Month 8, you finally build a franchise. You trade away your entire offensive line for a tight end with questionable stats and immediately regret every decision you've ever made in life. Month 10, you win your first online game. Your opponent disconnects in the third.
Okay.
So there's your
15 questions.
What's your name?
Mia.
We're gonna look for your ideal man, okay?
Okay.
What age does he have to be?
He has to be older.
How?
5 years older than me.
How old are you?
20.
Alright, so 25?
Nah, honestly, 26.
And what's the most they can be?
30.
And can they be married or
No.
you can steal somebody?
No. So one deal breaker is if they have kids. Not gonna lie.
If they have kids?
Have a kid with someone else.
You don't want them?
No.
And what race would they have to be? White, black, or Asian?
Wait.
Minimum height.
Over 6 foot.
So 6 foot and over?
Any statistics from you? That is my problem with you. Have a great day.
Statistics prove everything I just said.
Thank you.
Stupid. Like, dude, guys, this is exactly what I am talking about. This is precisely what I'm talking about. You have, like, incredible clown world. Right? Absolute clown world.
Wait, my question for you is in college, sleeping around.
Wait, no, let's get
Is
the heckler. the long-haired guy in the back yelling. What do you got to say? Come on up.
Man of integrity cannot push down.
How about you say it to the mic?
Man of integrity cannot push down.
Yeah, this guy. What is this guy? I don't know what the. Hey, bro, the girls aren't gonna. Just so you know, you're not gonna get like. They're not gonna be like, oh my god, that guy, he rescued us from the campus.
That is true. I don't know what sipping thinks that's going to get them.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to get them to move like me.
Okay.
And we get them to the it's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I try to, just as a general practice, I try to give paradigm cases that would be readily available and be seen in the actual world. You know, I guess the the route that I would go would be to first explain things that like maintain the moral structure
Hi everybody, I'm James Sabalski for
awful theories can have constraints around participation in very wrong things, and they try to capture those, you know, that normativity and explain why they're wrong. So that'd be the first thing.
Are you talking like a sorry to cut you off, but is that like a deontic modality kind of like you're talking about, like, or not, like a practical modality?
Yeah, it would be like a deontic modality, but you'd probably see it similarly throughout like different structures. You know, like a virtue ethicist would, you know, say something like, you know, to violate injustice, treat someone as a means to an end. Like, you know, you'd have very strong, vicious reasons to avoid those things. And then, like, the deontologist might, like, just kind of invoke it from, like, a deontic rule kind of constraint. And so on and so forth. So it might look different in all of the theories, but the principle seems to be, univocal in the sense that it seems to be a constraint that's applied across those plausible theories to try to capture decisions that you have to make when you don't have all the facts.
Oh, like so the constraint being the normative constraint you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, so that'd be the first thing, and then try to invoke that with very either cases that have been like known cases that everybody knows of, like where probability of the action being wrong is low, but the severity is so grand that even though it's a low probability, it's a non-trivial possibility. And you have strong reasons to avoid it, because if you were to be culpable in that action would be so grand wrong that you just,
here we go. Okay, this is what I was asking for.
Yeah. So like a case, like just take a case where, like you're instructed to go tell someone else to press a button. And the probability of pressing that button is very low, non-trivial though, but it's low. That when you press that button, you'll gas 6 million Jews. Okay. Well, even though the probability is really low, even if it were to solve something for you, like it would solve. Let's just say you have influenza B. Okay, you're throwing up every 30 minutes. Okay. Even though it would solve your influenza B by pressing the button, you still have very strong reasons to not instruct someone to press that button on your behalf. Because if you were to instruct it and you gassed 6 million Jews, that's a serious catastrophic moral wrong that you ought not be culpable in. Right?
Oh, wait, but that's a hypothetical. I don't care about hypotheticals. I was trying my best to imitate the choices.
You're trying to be tricky, that's all. Yeah, or maybe something more realistic would be like if you're a foreman, use this example a lot. If you're a foreman and you're under the gun, but you're on a time crunch. So you thoroughly sweep this building, and you don't see anybody in the building, and you go to press the button to blow up the building. Right before you do, a bunch of people come over to you telling you different stories. Maybe someone says that they saw someone potentially on the third floor. Someone else says that they didn't see anybody. Someone else says that they didn't see anyone on the third floor at all, but they saw moving of curtains on the sixth floor. Someone else says, I could have sworn I saw nobody, but I trust John who saw somebody. And so you have all this other data. Now you trust your own faculties because you swept the floors yourself. You saw nobody there. So the probability is probably really low that there's people in the building. But if you were to press that button, and given that it's a non-trivial fact that there might be someone in there, you press that button, you blow up a family of 5. Even if it's going to cost you $10,000 to not press the button and then have everyone re-sweep the floors, and it's going to cost you another 2 hours worth of labor, you have strong reasons to just eat the 10 grand. Because if you were to blow up a family of 5, that being culpable in that action is extremely, extremely wrong. Right?
See, I thought about doing like a really nerdy thing and going into probability theory and like pushing back on the idea that it is like, you know, not probable that those states of affairs will happen, but I'm not going to do that. So I'd rather save us the nerd talk, honestly.
Let's just say the building, you know, was abandoned. Yeah. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But no, I think these cases, honestly, I mean, they seem to be completely agree because there's no chance that me pushing this button is going to result in this thing, given the facts about what this thing actually is. So it's really true. That alone is like, need to know which is my feelings.
I mean, mind you, Kay, that's because pro-choicers, the average pro-choicer, is not very rational. Like, obviously this makes sense. Like, and I think Link used this the other time. I think he was debating Rita. Not Rita, I think Paris. Like, if someone, let's say if your friend is, like, you're hunting, you're in, like, in the woods, and your friend, like, went to the bathroom, and, like, you see something in a bush moving, right? It's a very low probability that your friend is behind the bush, but let's just say you pull the trigger, and then you actually kill that, right? Even though it's a low possibility, I would still not do it, because even if it is low, if you did manage to kill somebody, that would be a problem. Or it's the same thing if you're driving at night, you can't see anything. It's a very low possibility that you see something like a silhouette, and that's a person, right? I would still stop, because I don't want to hit somebody, even if it's very low.
Like, utilize those cases as individual evidences for like the hypothesis, so you can kind of structure the argument this way. To favor or disfavor of the hypothesis. And then what you can do is these cases that you're talking about, these empirical cases, like, you know, we have these laws or these instances in the world where they can add to the posterior of the hypothesis, and that makes the argument really strong.
oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Sarah, can you just make sure that Link has review access to these slides so I can listen to that again? So I'm going to try to remember exactly what Kate just said.
Yeah, he does. He has access to everything.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, for sure. Plus,
Hey, if you
So just says, I'll just come back
And we are about set to drop the puck on this one. The Nighthawks win the opening face-off, and we are... Oh, he's taken down. Penalty coming up.
in the goaltender, you got to get a shot off. And coming in from behind, because there's no time and space, the tripping call leads to the penalty shot.
He takes a deep breath at center ice. It's go time here. And the officials didn't like that. And quite frankly, you can't do that in hockey.
Kopitar's a confident goalie who can stare down opponents when they come in all alone, guys. His last stand zone ability means he keeps cool under pressure, reads the play, and turns aside those threats.
Trying to shake the defender. He's clear. Oh, I think he got confused what he was going to do there.
You can see him looking at the goaltender, whether he's going to shoot or deke, and while he's thinking, he's running out of real estate.
Denies that opportunity.
As a defender, you love when your goaltender has this kind of rebound control. Makes your life so much easier.
Denies him in close.
Goaltender spends so much time doing tracking exercises, and it's utilized right here as he knows where this puck is coming from, and he makes the save.
Takes a shot. He's with the backhander. Dismiss that chance. The Nighthawks get a hold of the puck. Jordan's got it in the defensive end. The Icebreakers look to start the transition game. Moves it quickly over to Kane. And he can't hang on after that hit. Here's a backhand. Risky play with the paddle, but it works. The Nighthawks gain control of the puck. Look at this. It's a penalty shot.
Well, I've been this culprit many a time, James. When you're on a breakaway, you have to be able to get that shot off. And if it's going to be a hope or reaching, you know that you're going to get the call.
And here we go. Hit the post.
And there's a lot of pressure on a penalty shot. You know what's in front of you. You can really give your team a lot of momentum, and just didn't find the back of the net.
Here in the later stages of this period, still scoreless in this one. Lets it slide. Denies him. He got all of it. Here they come down the right side and on the attack. And now it's over to Jordan. Can't get a hold of that pass. The Icebreakers move the puck in the defensive zone. On the attack along the boards. Center and feed. And that's stopped. We'll get a face-off after the puck stays covered up. And the centers glide towards the dot here as we got a face-off set to go. They win the draw and go on the attack. Trying to shake loose. He's in. All alone. And turns it aside with ease. Puck is frozen and we get a stoppage in play. The Icebreakers get a hold of the puck in their own end. Looking for space inside the D zone. Lee's taking it from his own end. The Icebreakers scoop it up along the boards. 2-on-1, here we go.
Oh, come on.
There's his first in the EASHL. Well done.
Oh, what an amazing moment, James. Absolutely incredible. You'll never forget your first goal. And he does it with conviction. You can see everyone around him just kind of celebrating right now. You got to believe someone's going to collect that puck.
Center's jammed up and the winger grabs the puck. Fires it on net. Oh, denies him on the play.
And this is a great play by the tender to anticipate and get across to make that save.
He might have a step here. He's in. Oh, what a defensive play. Jordan's lugging the puck. Look at this. They've got some bodies here on the attack. The Icebreakers have a hold. Look at this. In on the attack. Shot. Shuts the door. Wow, what a save. Jordan's got the puck in his own zone. Pinned up along the boards. Couldn't catch up to that pass. Jordan's got it in the defensive zone. And he slides it quickly to Kaiser. Here's a chance to make something happen inside the neutral zone. Out!
Jordan's had a tough time around the net tonight, James. It gets hit in the bar. He's got to find a way to cash in. You know, with his hands, at some point, if he gets the opportunity, he's going to put it in.
Here in the late going to the frame. The Icebreakers lead it 1-0. Puck is dropped. He wins the draw here in the defensive zone. Trying to gain a step. He's in alone. What a save on the play. Taken by Kaiser. Oh, smart heads up Reed. They've got numbers here. Tries to make a move and can't hang on to the puck.
Trying a nifty move when you have good hands. Sometimes it works, sometimes you get denied, and that's what happened there.
Puck picked up by Lee.
Kane's been feeling it, James. He got the go-ahead goal, and now the puck's on his stick.
Oh, you gotta love the effort as he blocks that. First period almost in the books here, nearing the final 60 seconds. Reads the play and forces the turnover.
The Nighthawks are in a tight game. They got to start making good on all those interceptions where they've been great spots and finding ways to get the puck. Doing a great job defensively, but they've got to convert.
Into the offensive end now. Sends it over. Flies it over to Jordan. Oh, great read. And he's got the answer for that one. And the goaltender grabs that one for a whistle to try to slow things down here. The Icebreakers wanted to put a lot of pucks on net going into this one. And
they're obviously stupid.
That, leading late in the first. Play resumes as they win the draw here inside the offensive zone. Moves the puck up on the breakaway.
To score against these tenders, in particular in these one-on-one battles, but he thinks and is able to bury it in the back of the net.
And off the draw, they take the break. Hangs on to the puck after taking a hit. Scoops up the puck now. And the goaltender's going to play it out of the crease. And they're off to the races for the loose puck. And there we go. Icing is the call. Play set to resume with the face-off ready to go.
Even if the life was true, they were no different. Only speaking of
and a solid job tying up his opponent. The Icebreakers pick up the puck here in the neutral zone. The Nighthawks slide it through center. Sends the pass in front. And he shuts down a great scoring chance there. Puck grab. Oh, what a chance here. Ran on a runway on the play. And he'll opt to play the puck here. The Nighthawks carry it along the wall. Here's a feed in front. Here he comes for the win. Well, that's a big no-no as the officials blow the play dead. A big face-off here inside the offensive end. The Nighthawks win the draw. Jordan's moving the puck through his own zone. Great stick work with the steal.
What happened?
And it is all over with this one. The Nighthawks really had to work for this one, but they find a way to get the win.
Well, this is a gutsy performance. I mean, you have to win the battles, you have to win the moment, a play within a play. And it's so important to manage the momentum within these types of games. Manage your physical and emotional energy. They did just that. They held on for the W. Well, these are the types of goals that are extremely deflating because they are just egregious in nature and really change the landscape of the game. I mean, the goaltender scrambling and had no chance on that one.
The only other thing I can think of is trying to take which is why we're going to have those distinctions if you're inducing acts versus risk.
Wow, that was kind of dumb, man. How'd that go through him? That was kind of dumb.
like basically